In today's video, I'm going to talk about the Precision Sailboat's shoal draft keel and centerboard combination. I received a viewer question asking about, how does the P18 centerboard operate and, kind of what do you do with it? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. There are some misconceptions about centerboards in ballasted boats, and that's because they're fairly rare. So by definition, a keel contains ballast and a centerboard is unballasted. So when you go online and look for information about how to sail a centerboard boat, it's going to be about dinghies, and dinghies are unballasted boats. So most ballasted boats either have a fixed keel or a swing keel. A swing keel is very similar to a centerboard in that it swings up and down, except that the ballast is contained in the swing keel. So for example, both the Catalina 22 and the Montgomery 17 have a 550-pound swing keel. The Precision 18 has a combination of a shoal draft keel, which is a type of fixed keel, and a centerboard. So the 350 pounds of lead ballast is all in the shoal draft keel, and the P18 centerboard, by definition, is unballasted. It only weighs 65 pounds. When the centerboard is lowered, it produces lateral resistance. So the Precision 18's shoal draft keel and centerboard combination is a fairly uncommon hull configuration for ballasted boats. One of the advantages of this setup is that the lightweight of the Precision 18 centerboard makes it very easy to adjust. On a swing keel boat, there's typically a winch of some type to lift or adjust the heavy swing keel. On the Precision 18, the centerboard adjustments are made by hand using a single line that comes up through the cockpit floor. You either pull it in or let it out and then tie it off to a horn cleat in the cockpit. Now, when lowering the P18 centerboard, you have to be careful that you don't let it free fall, because then it'll slam into the front of the centerboard trunk within the shoal draft keel and could damage the fiberglass in that area. You also don't want to leave the centerboard down when the boat is stationary. So when you're anchored, moored in a slip, you just don't want it to be banging around inside the centerboard trunk and causing unnecessary wear and tear on the centerboard pivot pin. So that's the overview of the centerboard, but then when and why do you adjust it? Well, there's generally three reasons why you would adjust the centerboard. Number one is to reduce drag. Number two is to reduce the draft of the boat. And number three is to adjust the CLR, or the center of lateral resistance. So the first one, drag, is typically based on your point of sail. As you bear away from the wind, you need the lateral resistance that the centerboard provides less and less. And so at that point, having it down is just causing unnecessary drag in the water. The rule of thumb for centerboard dinghies is full down when sailing close hauled, the point of sail where you need the most lateral resistance, then 3/4 down for close reaching, half down for beam reaching, only 1/4 down for a broad reach, and then pulling it full up when running dead downwind. In practice, what you want is to reduce drag, but without creating lee helm. So that's the tendency of the boat to turn away from the wind. You always want to have either a neutral helm or just a slight bit of weather helm. And the slight weather helm is important as a safety feature. It's actually designed into the hull shape of most sailboats. And what it does is if there's an equipment failure, or if you fall overboard, or there's some other emergency on the boat will turn into the wind, go into irons, and stall itself out. If you don't have that, if you have lee helm, then the boat will turn downwind and sail away. So the reality for most Precision 18 owners is that we just leave the centerboard full down all the time, because the tiny increase in speed just isn't worth the trouble of making the centerboard adjustment and then also potentially inducing dangerous lee helm. The second reason to adjust the centerboard is to reduce the draft of the boat. With the centerboard fully down, the boat draws 4 feet 5 inches. So if you're entering shallow water and you need to reduce your draft, you pull up your centerboard. Once the centerboard is up, the boat's fixed shoal draft keel only draws 18 inches, although the rudder will still be a bit deeper if it's left fully down. And because the ballast is all in the shoal draft keel, pulling up the centerboard does not significantly affect the riding moment of the boat. Of course, lateral resistance is reduced, and the center of lateral resistance, or CLR, becomes the center of the shoal draft keel. The last reason you might adjust the centerboard is to move the center of lateral resistance, or CLR. CLR is the resistance below the waterline to sideways movement of the hull through the water. So normally with the centerboard fully down and flying both a main and a head sail, the boat is really well balanced. But if you reduce the head sail by furling it, or are sailing mainsail only, then the boat may be a little out of balance because without the head sail, there will be less wind pressure on the bow of the boat and more wind pressure toward the stern of the boat. This moves the center of effort, which is the center of the force of the wind on the boat. It moves the center of effort aft and will make the boat tend to turn bow into the wind, or weather helm. So to prevent excessive weather helm and restore that balance, you pull up the centerboard a bit, which is going to angle it aft and move that CLR aft to better align with the center of effort above the waterline. So that adjustment aligns the forces below the waterline with the forces above the waterline and reduces weather helm and then restores the balance of the boat. Now, I often sail the boat in the opposite configuration with a double reefed mainsail and a full jib. And so that really disrupts the balance of the boat as well, but in the opposite way. So in heavy air, what that does is it increases the wind pressure on the bow and then decreases it toward the stern. And that gives the boat a tendency to turn the bow away from the wind, or lee helm. So in this shot, you can see I have a ton of lee helm. And when you have to put in that much rudder, it acts like a brake and really slows the boat down. And so you can see here in this other view that the centerboard is about halfway up in this shot. So when sailing deeply reefed upwind with a lot of head sail, you want the CLR as far forward as possible. So the centerboard should stay fully down. So really, the key point here is that it's all about maintaining the helm balance of the boat. You want to be able to sail the boat on its course with minimum rudder input and either a neutral helm or just a touch of weather helm. Well, that's the down and dirty on the P18 and how to operate the centerboard, and I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching.